Your Town Matters is funded by the Government of Canada through the Local Journalism Initiative and supported by Cactus Media, Canada's independent community television association.
I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to NB Votes on CHCO, a chance to get to know your candidates before the municipal election on November 28th. On this particular show, we will meet the candidates for Bayside and Chamcook. Bayside will elect one of two candidates to represent them in the municipality of St. Andrews, and Chamcook will elect two of three candidates. In keeping with election guidelines, each candidate is given the same questions and the same amount of interview time. The two Bayside candidates will be given 6 questions and 12 minutes each, and the Chamcook candidates have up to 10 minutes to answer 5 questions. How the candidates choose to use their time is up to them. The candidates were sent the questions and the rules prior to the interview and were given separate interview times. Starting in Bayside alphabetically, here's my interview with Jeremiah Kerr. Jeremiah, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell us about yourself? What's your backstory?
Well, Vicki, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for having me here today. For you and the CHCO team, this is excellent, and I've got to say I just got to say thank you for everything that your team has brought to St. Andrews and the Charlotte County group as a whole. This is great to have you guys on our side, and it's great to see CHCO-TV grow. You know, I can remember when you guys started years ago, and we're pursuing some funding and fighting your way, and just how much you've grown. This is fantastic. So for the folks that don't know me, my name is Jeremiah Kerr. About me is I'm a father. I'm a family man. I'm married to a beautiful wife, Jillian Akaji Kerr. We have two children who go to school here in St. Andrews. Very active young ladies, Madison and Avery. We've lived in the Bayside area for about 16 years. My wife was basically born and raised, well, not born, but she's basically raised in Bayside. So we have deep roots in the Bayside area. So I've lived in Charlotte County for roughly around 21, 22 years, maybe 23 years, give or take. Went to school here at MBCC. I've had a few different careers over the years. I've been with, so besides living in Bayside, I also work in Bayside. I've been with Skretting for the past 15, 16 years as a quality manager there. So that's really, had its has had its learning curves over the years. The reason that I'm really running is to really give back to the community. Mm-hmm. I enjoy working with people. I really enjoy seeing change and seeing areas grow. I think that Bayside has a lot of potential. I think that we have a great port in Bayside. We have great campgrounds in Bayside. Over the years, we've seen little businesses pop up here and there. We have one of the best golf courses, the best hidden golf, secrets, the cheapest, best kept golf course probably in New Brunswick. Mm-hmm. We have such a great community, and it's nice to see the community grow and prosper. And now we are going to be joining a larger community, St. Andrews, and I want to be a good voice for the Bayside people and represent Bayside, Charlotte County, and help us grow. And over the next couple of years, we're going to have a lot of growing pains. This whole rollout is new to everybody, not just Charlotte County, not just Chamcook, Bayside. So the tasks are going to be huge, and the changes that are going to take place, in the next 2 years are going to be can or could be very significant. And I enjoy working with people. I enjoy being a leader, being a voice, and fighting and helping community residents. Fighting for the best. In terms of taxes and other things that are going to present themselves in the years to come.
So you very much already touched on my second question, which is why are you running for council? So I'll skip ahead to what are some of the most important issues facing Bayside in your opinion right now?
Well, in my opinion, there's a few issues. Number one are the changes that are going to come from the province. So Bayside, Chamcook residents, we are apparently looking at a tax increase of between 30 to 42 to 43%. That number is fluctuating a little bit depending on who you talk to and exactly where you pull the data from. That's going to be huge. I know for a fact other residents, we just got our tax bills and mine went up by over $25,000. I'm sure I'm not the only person that we just got hit with a huge bill. If you're a senior, if you are on a fixed income, and you're hearing this and you're thinking about 25 to 40% more taxes for next year and the years to come, I'm sure you're going to be looking for somebody that's going to be able to stand up, is going to be able to work with the province, going to be able to work with the town, and get this number back down reasonably. So that's going to be a big task. That's going to be a big task. It's also going to be a big task too to work to get the knowledge, well, not the knowledge, but to get the trust of the counselors that are in place now that have been here for a few years, and to work with them because we're going to need their support also.
Now we're a little bit past the halfway point already.
Okay.
So what would be some of the key steps you would take if you are elected to make the community a better place?
Well, to make the community a better place, there's a lot of different things that would make our community a better place. Not all of these things are going to happen overnight, but it's going to be a big challenge there's going to be 3 of us to join the town council in St. Andrews, and we're going to have to work with the town council. They're going to have to work with us. So there's going to be bylaws that are going to come into place, and those bylaws have to be right for St. Andrews, as well as we have to agree with bylaws and things that are going to change that are happening within the town of St. Andrews. So that's going to be a big task is working with the council and having council members on Bayside and Chamcook's side. That's probably one of the bigger tasks that's going to happen in terms of, we don't want to see a lot of the bylaws move out to Bayside and Chamcook. Or what bylaws are going to move or what could be adopted. So we're gonna, to work with the people, to work with the town, to work with the council members, very closely and tightly to make sure things happen correctly in the way that Bayside residents would like them to happen is going to be very important.
What qualities or skills do you possess that you think would make you a good counselor and a good voice for Bayside? I
do not fear failure. I think that failure is something really to learn from. I work well with people. I really enjoy being out in the public. I do enjoy, talking to people. Anybody can come over and have a cup of coffee, and chat. Stop me on the road. A lot of people, I think, have seen me out either running on the road or biking on the road. Just feel free to stop and chat. I really enjoy working with the public. I really enjoy working with different groups. I think that's probably one of my strong suits is, dealing with the public, being in a leadership role, and helping people. And I really look forward to that.
Now we are getting close to the end of the interview. We have about less than 3 minutes left for the final question, which is a fun one. If you received $1 million grant to do anything in the community that you wanted, what would you do with it and why? And you have about 2.5 minutes.
Well, there's a lot of the different things you could do with $1 million. It wouldn't go, $1 million doesn't go very far. There's a lot of different ways to look at this. There's some fun things we could do. If this money is only staying within Bayside, so I got thinking about this question. One thing that we could do that would benefit all Bayside residents as well as Charlotte County is there are around 133 registered homes in Bayside that are eligible to vote. If you took $1 million and divided it into those 133 homes, that's about $7,500 per home. It would be kind of cool if each homeowner could have access to that money to put it to do something beneficial to their home. Something that's going to save them money in the long run. New windows, energy saving things, better insulation and so on. But the key factor to that would be you would have to spend that money within Charlotte County. Just to have the economic spin-off from that money. Also, moving outside of Bayside, it would be great to see the town of St. Andrews get a new ladder truck. It would be great to see, some better walkways, running and biking, and in the summertime you always see people out walking in Bayside. It's a matter of time before the road does get built, a little bit wider, but it'd be nice to have better walking and biking trails. The seniors, housing, that's people are getting older and there's not enough, housing for people. There's new residents, of course, job prosperity ideas, new businesses. There's a lot of ways to spend $1 million, and that's, it's up to the people of Bayside, in my mind, how you would spend that $1 million.
Maybe next time I'll say 10 million because you're right, $1 million. Maybe next election I'll change the question. Thank you so much, Jeremiah.
Well,
I appreciate
thank you too.
Getting to know you better.
And just don't forget, everybody, to get out and vote.
That was Jeremiah Kerr. The second and final candidate for the one seat in Bayside is Daryl Weir. Daryl, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. Can we start off by having you tell us about yourself? What is your backstory?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for having me in and giving me the opportunity to talk to the people of Bayside that don't know me, even though most are aware of me. My backstory is fairly long because of my age, of course. I was born in a very small community in Nova Scotia. No store, no gas station, very like Bayside. And the economy was mainly forestry and mixed farming and just a general, very small community. We were 5 kilometers from the nearest store and gas station. It wasn't in a town, it was in another little country community. So I know all about country living. 48 years ago this week, coincidentally, I moved to New Brunswick, and I've been in New Brunswick ever since. So most of my friends now say I'm pretty well a New Brunswicker, because most people haven't lived here 48 years. So it's just the way it worked out. I've lived in Fredericton, I've lived in St. Stephen, I've lived in Bathurst, and currently live in Bayside, of course, the last 14 years. In all those locations, I was very involved in the business community, of course, and service clubs, Boy Scouts, coaching, hockey, baseball, stayed very active in my community, and tried to make my contribution, whether it be in economic forums or community forums or whatever. It's given me an opportunity to live and work with people all over New Brunswick. So I have, in addition to the Charlotte County perspective of the province, I have the North Shore perspective, I have the Fredericton perspective, and all of those things to draw on as a background. I'm a professional accountant. I have a degree in that. Practiced public accounting for many years, 26, 27, 28, I didn't add them up. After that, I ran my own consulting practice for an excess of 10 years. And then I became the chief operating officer at the Port of Bayside. And while I was there, I obtained a diploma as a certified port executive. So I've lived a varied life. I've traveled all over North America working, and I just wish I'd have kept my memoirs of all the things I have done. I'm married, 2 adult children, one born in Fredericton, one born in the Charlotte County Hospital, and they're both proud to be graduates of the St. Stephen University kindergarten class. So that gives you an indication of when I was here before. So that's about it. My wife and I celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary in May. So yeah, I've lived a full life, and it's not over yet. So
Why are you running for council in this election?
Well, I've always had a philosophy, and I've expounded on this to people that complain about government and that type of thing, that if you don't get involved, you don't completely forfeit your right to complain, but you forfeit some of your right to complain because you're not involved, you're not participating, you just can't sit on the sidelines and complain. So that's been a philosophy of mine. I've been involved in the local service district here almost since I arrived. Served a term as chair, and then when this amalgamation came along, very involved in the facilitation, as involved as I could get. They pretty well kept us out, but involved in that. And then those of us who had been involved in the LSD for all those years, we were talking about it. Everybody said they were too busy to take it on. I feel I'm too busy to take it on, but I know if I do take it on, then it becomes, all or nothing. I don't believe in doing a part-time job. It's you've got to go at it full time. So there was enough of them that requested that I do it. A lot of my friends asked me to do it, to help represent them and present their thoughts and that type of thing. So it's just a continuation of my community involvement that I've done all of my adult life. So,
in your opinion, what are some of the most important issues facing Bayside right now?
Well, Bayside's in a unique situation in that when I first moved there, there were some issues with some of the industry in the area and that type of thing. But basically, we had a very contented population. Status quo was quite acceptable. Now, that's not to say we don't want progress, but we don't want progress at the expense of our rural way of life and our lifestyle. So I think the first key issue that is going to come up is that we have a minority position on council. We've got to come up with a framework, and I say we, I mean all 9 councillors, have to come up with a framework that Bayside and Chamcook are comfortable working within that framework and in that decision-making process, that they are not just being outvoted 6-3 on everything and really serve no useful purpose of being there. I know the mayor fully understands that, and I know the mayor is going to do what he can to help build that framework. But it's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort to build the framework. But I think how good we do that job in the first year or so is going to set a path going forward and set a method of operating that will be inclusive and make this thing work. People are concerned about costs, increases in property taxes, and no tangible increase in services. And I think everybody agrees that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to accept, to pay more money and not get anything. The anticipated cost and the increase of home ownership is another issue I hear. We're going to have significant increases in the next years in our property taxes, in the cost of owning a home and living in Bayside. And how we handle that as a full council, I think the province knows they are downloading costs onto us. They feel we haven't paid our fair share. I could speak all day on that, but that's not the purpose of this. Land use policies are important, particularly to the people over around Chamcook Lake. Chamcook Lake is going to be entirely within town boundaries, so they're not in fear of change. They are very concerned about what type of changes may happen. Again, they're typical Bayside residents. They're quite content the way it is right now, and the unknown is always upset. Well, I know that upsets people, makes them very concerned. So I guess in summary, to retain our lifestyle, not be forced to pay significantly more to maintain our lifestyle, and not to have our lifestyle overrun in the name of progress, which we may not perceive as progress.
Now we have about 2 minutes left, if you can believe it. So I will ask you, if you are elected, what are some of the key steps you would take to make the community a better place? And you can use these 2 minutes any way you want.
Okay. Well, I would assist in developing this framework we talked about. That's important. And secondly, a key step would be to maintain our lifestyle, which I've already talked about, and with as little interference in our affairs as possible.
Okay. What qualities and skills do you possess that you believe will make you an effective counselor and voice for Bayside?
Many years of community service, many years of working with municipalities. I've worked with Town St. Stephen, St. George, St. Andrews, City of Bathurst, all the towns of Beresford, Nigadoo, Petit Rocher. Back in the early 70s, the City of Halifax. So I know municipalities, municipal finances. My financial skills are a given, my municipal skills are a given, but over the years I've also developed reasonably good negotiation skills. So I think negotiating this framework is going to be an important part of it.
And with 30 seconds left, last question. If you received $1 million grant to use in the community any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
That was the easiest one. I would immediately look at expanding the wellness center, getting another doctor in St. Andrews, maybe developing a small walk-in clinic. Healthcare in Canada, New Brunswick, is just deteriorating. A lot of people don't have a family doctor. So my efforts, if I had $1 million, would be, let's improve that. That helps everybody. And healthcare, what more is there? If we don't have our healthcare, we don't have anything as a country. So the wellness center would be I would look to them because a lot of the infrastructure is already in place. If they weren't up to it, then you'd have to look at a standalone place. But that to me is what I would use the $1 million for.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you better, Daryl. Thank you for sitting down with me today.
Thank you very much.
That was Daryl Weir, and those were your two candidates for the one seat to represent Bayside for the municipality of St. Andrews. Next up, we will meet the candidates for Chamcook. Starting alphabetically, here's my interview with Mark Bennett. Mark, tell us about yourself. What is your backstory?
I'm a Newfoundlander by birth. I have two adult children, Andrew and Christina, and my lovely wife, Heather, who works from home in Chamcook.
And why are you running for council?
Well, I'm a retired soldier, a vet from the Canadian Armed Forces. I have lots of time on my hand to devote to projects that I deem worthy of putting effort into. And with the information I've been given so far about the annexing of Chamcook and Bayside into St. Andrews, I see that there's many points of interest and concern that affect myself, my family, and my neighbors. And as of the day that I submitted my application form for a candidate, no one else had submitted one, so I felt it was necessary to run.
Now, you've already obviously touched on some issues facing Chamcook, but in your opinion, what are some of the most important issues facing Chamcook right now?
Tax fairness. Definitely we need a voice on council to give Chamcook's perspective into the St. Andrews Council, and also on the bylaw issue, which is going to raise its head very shortly come January 1st with the new annexing, the new community format.
Now, if you are elected, what are some of the key steps you would take to make the community a better place?
I think Chamcook's a wonderful place right now, and that's the reason why my wife and I moved here a while back. We absolutely love the way it is now, and we've talked to many of the neighbors and people in the community, and that's the way unanimously it's been. Everybody likes the way it is now. So January 1st, when we become part of St. Andrews, the governance of St. Andrews, nobody wants to see any change. Nobody's looking for more services. Nobody's looking for a new set of rules to live by, and they certainly want a fair tax rate that they can live with.
Mm-hmm. Now we're at the final question. So you can run with this. You've got a lot of time left if you want it, so you can take as long as you want or add anything else to the interview that you think is important for voters to know before they go to the polls. But the final question is this. If you had $1 million grant to use any way you wanted in the community, what would you do with it and why?
That's a really tough question. If it was Mark's choice and Mark's choice only, I absolutely would use the money for recruitment and retention of our healthcare workers and providers in the St. Andrews, Chamcook, Bayside area. However, I understand that money being spent would never come down to my decision on where it's being spent, and I would never consider spending that kind of money on just my wishes and wants. I think that any time that a volume of money like that is spent, it needs to be spent wisely, because it's my tax dollars that's paying that money. And I think that all the members of the community have a right to say where that money would go. So for me, I think that any time an expenditure like that happens, you would have to consult the constituents of the ridings and ask them where they want to spend.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
That was Mark Bennett. Next up, here's my interview with Blair Gordon. Blair, tell us about yourself. What is your backstory?
Well, I've been living in Chamcook for just over 7 years. I will tell you right now that this is the best place to live. Second thing, my background's been in international business and in manufacturing. And to have an opportunity like this, to be able to I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to get my background out to the people in Chamcook. One of the things that part of my background is been on many boards and advisory groups and conventions and trade shows and traveling for the government. I've been blessed to have been to over 40 countries. So culture, inclusion, that was my mantra for 20 years, and now it's everybody's mantra. And I'm really happy to see that. But it's part of what makes you a good listener. And one of the things is I can listen, I can take in, and then I will feed back to the people. That's what you're trying to say, this is what you want. And I've been lucky too. I got trained as a coach and mentor. Again, that inclusion thing. Ask questions.
Why are you running for council?
At some point in your life, you got to give back. Now's a good time. I've got the experience, not in municipal politics, but municipal politics isn't a lot different than the boardroom. It's all about give and take. What can we get away with? What can we do? Where is there a little bit of wiggle room? Because a little bit of wiggle room can make a difference in 400 people's lives. And it may not cost a lot of money to have that little bit of wiggle room. So running for council sort of makes sense. I live at Chamcook Lake. Let's be honest, I have an obligation for stewardship for the future. We all do. We have to maintain these resources.
In your opinion, what are some of the most important issues facing Chamcook right now?
That's a great question. Chamcook as itself, if we look at the resources, you've got the Chamcook, the lake, and the watershed that goes with it. We know what happens when the watershed isn't treated properly, which happened before my time in Chamcook, but they flooded the lake one year when they opened the dam too fast. And then they let the water go down so low that they ended up with algae issues. You can't have that sort of thing happening. People who live out at the lake, as an example, I want to encourage recreation. I want to encourage tourism. The boaters, the kayakers, the paddle boarders, the number of swimmers. If you're from the area, and if you're not, but most people know about the bluffs up at Chamcook Lake. The volume of people that come up to the bluffs in the summer to go swimming, to party, to enjoy themselves is a great thing. But there's issues. When you have a free-for-all going on, which is effectively what's going on, I haven't seen a game warden in 6 years. The lake is an incredibly rich resource. Salmon, you've got fishing. There's nobody out there. We are blessed with a trail. Call it what you want. The St. Andrews Trail, the Van Horn Trail, whatever the name is. It needs work done to it. If it doesn't get work done to it soon, we're going to lose the trail. And we will have lost a legacy. This trail extends all the way to Montreal. It's the old CP rail line. We have had ATVs and motorcycles running rampant years ago, and we have approaches to a bridge at the end of Chamcook Lake, the railway bridge, which are just about gone. And if they do disappear, that's the end of it. We lose the trail. That trail, we had what you call dually trucks, and trucks used to go zooming down the trail all the way around the lake and zooming back again. Well, a railway wasn't meant to be used on the edges. It was meant to be used in the middle. Result is the edges have fallen away on this thing. We need help from the government or from the tourism people to get this brought back up to a standard so that people can enjoy the lake. I want people 30 years from now to say, wow, they took care of this legacy for us. Look at this. I can go mountain biking out here. I can go for hikes with my dogs. I can go swimming when I get hot. I can take my paddleboard out. There's paddleboard clubs out there. We got to maintain that. But we have a problem. Where do you park your vehicle? It's private land. There are parking lots out at Chamcook Lake, but they are the Salmon Federation and the Wild Salmon Federation. Agreements are needed because tourists don't know what to do with their cars. They wander around with their cars. They have no idea where to go. These are private roads because of the heavy traffic on the road. The main road coming in is called Rankin Mill Road. I think they call it an unassumed road. So the province says, not our responsibility. So all the vehicles coming through put a lot of stress on the 6 or 7 permanent residents to keep the road up to a standard. Garbage. The garbage dump out at the lake is 30 feet from the water. It scares the crap out of me, what could be in that garbage. But we have a resource and we have to maintain it for the people. The side roads, I'll give you an example. And it's a road that I have no idea why they haven't done more to it, but the Harkness. It's right around the corner from me because I hike over that way because it's, again, part of the trail. Big trucks on that road, and I don't understand it. That road is not good enough to handle these big trucks. To put 80,000, 90,000 pound vehicles on that road, and especially in the springtime, there'll be nothing left of that road. There are children, the buses I see going down that area. And that's also one of the other issues. The most dangerous corner, I think, in southwest New Brunswick is where the Harkness meets the 127. It jogs one way and goes the other way. The big transport trucks are going to have to jog out into traffic and you can't see down the hill. It's an incredibly dangerous place. Nothing seems to be getting done about a lot of these things.
We have about 3 minutes left, 2 more questions.
Yeah.
If you are elected, what steps will you take to make the community a better place?
First thing, when I look at the community of Chamcook, it isn't a close community. It's spread out. You've got the people on the glebe, you've got the people at the lake, you've got the people on the 127 up towards Boquebec. But the community spirit needs to be improved to get people talking about what is needed within the community. Let's be honest, nobody has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. But I was taught a long time ago, there's 3 decisions you can make in life. You can make a good decision, a better decision, and the best decision. The good decision is you do it on your own, you just say, we're going to do this. Better decision is you think about it. The best decision is usually when you include everybody. And when everybody has a say, we get good decisions made. We have a good council. I like the council. I like the mayor. The mayor is a very honest man. He will work with the Chamcook people on tax issues. Everybody's worried about the taxes. I understand it's about 5% this year is what it's going to go up. So not as bad as we thought it was going to be because we all thought 11% was coming at us. But we have a council, a good council to work with. Our deputy mayor, I have a lot of respect for her. We have good people working in the town hall who are going to support us. So for Chamcook, we needed that. There is no organization to hold the area together. Maybe we have one now.
Finally, with just over a minute left, if you had $1 million grant to do anything you wanted in the community, what would you do with it and why?
It'd be all about tourism and recreation. Some way to create a cash flow to reduce taxes to the people, but at the same time, bring people into the area. We have too many fabulous things between Bayside and Chamcook, trails, and people don't know about it. And these can attract people from all over.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Blair.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That was Blair Gordon. Finally, the third and final candidate hoping to represent Chamcook is Annette Harland. Annette, tell us about yourself. What is your backstory?
Thanks, Vicki. So I've lived in Chamcook for the past 21 years with my husband, Brian Peer, and we've raised our 5 children in the community in a blended family, and it's our home. So I feel very invested in understanding how the community is going to evolve in this new amalgamation. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm a retired social worker. I did my Bachelor of Social Work at St. Thomas University, which is where I fell in love with New Brunswick, and I did my Master's at Dal. And I worked with government for 33 years before I retired. In the last 15 years, I managed addictions and mental health services. So my career has been in working with people. That's where my passion is. And I think what I bring to municipal politics are leadership skills, strong collaborative skills, an understanding of the bureaucracy of government, and a passion for moving reform through and understanding what St. Andrews is going to be like at the end.
Why are you running for council now?
Right. So I think it's important. I believe in municipal reform. I know that it's been a contentious topic. It has been discussed for many years. But I believe that ultimately the amalgamation of Chamcook and Bayside with the town of St. Andrews will create a stronger community. But it also is going to be painful. There will be growing pains. There will be challenges. Every province in the country who has gone through municipal reform can attest to that. So I think it's really important that we have a strong voice and we understand what the issues are and we have dialogue around how to create this amalgamation. I also have respect for the current town council. I have appreciated the respect in which they've conducted themselves, their transparency, the leadership that they've shown in working on some really tough issues, and I would like to work with this team.
In your opinion, what are some of the most important issues facing Chamcook right now?
So without a doubt, taxes is one of the key issues. So when we started down this road of discussing municipal reform, I think everybody understood that it would result in an increase in taxes. But I don't think anyone expected it to be to the degree that it looks like it will be. And I think council even was surprised at what the rate increase would be. I understand that this is a provincial issue. I think we need to continue to lobby and advocate with the provincial government to address this issue. I think that's one of the key issues that needs some ongoing work. I would say the lobster holding facility at the end of North St. Andrews Road, I think that's another key issue that we need some further dialogue around. You know, for the residents in that area, they bought land, purchased houses, built houses, invested in the area with the idea that they were building something specific for their family. And now that potentially could change significantly, and that's a huge issue for them. I did look up what light industrial included, and I was shocked at how broad a description that is. So, I mean, obviously there needs to be lots of discussion around what this means specifically for those residents, but also for the wider community. And I think residents of Chamcook are also dealing with some of the, I know residents in Chamcook are dealing with some of the same issues as residents in the broader St. Andrews area. Access to healthcare, affordable housing, support to services with seniors who are continuing to live in their homes, transportation, daycare. I mean, those issues affect all residents and need continuing, ongoing work as well. So I also think, municipal reform gives us a very unique opportunity to integrate St. Andrews Municipal Plan and Chamcook Rural Plan. And I'm assuming Bayside has a rural plan as well. So Brad has acknowledged, the mayor of St. Andrews has acknowledged several times that people who live in rural areas make a specific decision often to live in that area. They're looking for a specific lifestyle. And so I think that as we go through municipal reform, there is an important opportunity to look at how do we integrate the municipal plans and the rural plans, that it respects and acknowledges lifestyle choices of everyone, and that it's inclusive of all of those choices. So I think that's also a key issue for Chamcook residents.
You've already touched on my follow-up to this, which is if you were elected, what are some of the key steps you would take to make the community a better place?
Right. So I think work on the integration of those plans and developing an inclusive, respectful vision for St. Andrews, for a new St. Andrews. And I think that's going to be a challenge for everyone, for the residents of the town and for the residents in both of the LSDs as we move into the town. What will that look like? It is a tremendous opportunity. It is very exciting, but it also will be challenging to ensure that there's dialogue and voices are heard so that we can be as inclusive as possible. So I think communication is key. I think it's really important that people get clear, timely information, and that there's meaningful dialogue in terms of what does that information mean for me as Joe citizen, right? And then how do we move that forward into any changes that we're making through the reform process.
Final question. You have about 2 minutes left. If you had $1 million grant to do anything you wanted in the community, what would you do with it and why?
So the very first thing I would do is go back to the residents to talk about what are priorities. What do residents in the community see as the priority for spending $1 million? I would hope that we would use some of the money to address some of the issues that I just spoke about, housing, support to seniors, transportation, but it ultimately would have to be a dialogue with the citizens.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your time in it.
Thank you, Vicki.
That was Annette Harland, and that concludes CHCO's NB Votes special municipal election coverage for candidates from Bayside and Chamcook, who are hoping to represent their respective communities as they amalgamate with the municipality of St. Andrews. Now, be sure to do your part and vote in the 2022 municipal election on November 28th. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thanks for watching.